Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for Wednesday, the 28th of May, 2025. We'll get stuck in with the synoptic picture starting yesterday at midday. And you can see here what was causing all of that horrible weather we had yesterday, low clouds and sort of fairly persistent rain. And there was that depression centered sort of bang in the middle of Ireland, or the Republic of Ireland, and with these warm fronts stemming off quite a lot of frontal activity going in, but this high pressure starting to ridge up from the Azores working its way in, pushing that away. But it's still not a fantastic picture with this low as well up to the north by the Faroe Islands. Midnight last night, we still had a little bit, those warm fronts moving away somewhat, but this occlusion working its way down. But by midday today, it was mostly clear and out of the way of that. Potentially, this occlusion just coming down from the north might just catch us with the edge there, but hopefully nothing that's going to spoil our day. Running that through overnight, some more frontal activity tomorrow with this low out in the Atlantic coming in. But hopefully we should get some reasonable air in this, as good as we can get anyway in this warm sector tomorrow at lunchtime. Looking at the sat pic for this morning, you can see quite a lot of cloud. It's beginning to break up outside here, reasonably clear. Lots of cloud elsewhere in the country, but hopefully we're going to get this burning off and get a somewhat reasonable soaring day out of it. In terms of rain, a reasonable amount of precipitation associated with some of those areas of cloud and a few showers down in our area, but the worst of it is up over the Midlands. That's at the moment, but looking at the forecast, the Met Office forecast, again, showing that line of fairly heavy rain there up with the sort of Birmingham. If we run that through, you can see, again, some light showers increasing a little bit in their frequency as the air gets a bit more convective, but nothing that's particularly concerning for us. Certainly nothing like we saw the other day when we unfortunately had to scrub mid-air. So we should more or less be escape the worst of it and get reasonable days flying. The Odium TAF, then they're giving us 260, 12 knots, visibility greater than 10 kilometers, and with a few clouds at 2,000 feet. Scattered at 4,000 feet, the Prob 30 in between 8 and 6 this evening, 280, 15 gusting 26. So again, fairly blustery westerly that we've been seeing fairly consistently throughout the week. And then later on, earlier this morning, scattered at 2,200. Farnborough, on the other hand, they're giving us 230, 12 with 10 kilometers and few at 3,000 feet. There's a Prob 30 in for this morning of 250, 15 gusting 25. And a Prob 30 between 11 and 4 o'clock local of 8,000 meter vis and light showers. The upper winds to the south of us, 270 and 290, 25 knots at 1,000 and 2,000 feet respectively. And then to the north, we've got a little bit more northerly in that wind, 300, 15 knots at both 1 and 2,000 feet. Surface wind here, though, a little bit southwesterly biased to it. Looking at windy here, showing that a fairly brisk wind running across the airfield from left to right. So we'll be operating runway 27 for both the grid and the club launch point. The Met Office local forecast showing us an opening in the clouds, perhaps slightly later than some other forecasters would say this, suggesting by 1 o'clock we will have less thick cloud, but hopefully it's a bit earlier than that. It's already breaking up quite a bit outside. Warmest today, 19 degrees, but feeling that, again, as we've been seeing, quite a bit cooler, down to sort of 14, 15 degrees with that westerly wind. Potentially getting around a little bit more northerly later in the morning, or in the afternoon, I should say, beg your pardon, and maximum of about 14, gusting 29. Visibility should be very good today. We've got sort of moderate humidity. and level and quite high UV rating up to 7 between 12 and 1 o'clock. So do take care if you're outside, wrap up, and even though it might not feel particularly warm, there is still plenty of damage to be done. The GFS for temperature then giving us, again, very much an agreement about 17 or 18 degrees in the warmest part of the day with a dew point of around 9. And we'll just refresh this. We're now up to 15 degrees temperature here at Lasham, so it's not going to get a huge amount warmer than this. And actually, it stayed fairly warm overnight, if this is to be believed. Very, very little change, indeed, around 14 degrees throughout. But now the temperature is dropping off. The dew point starting to climb now again to 10.8. Point forecast on SkySight. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see an excerpt from the potential flight distance. So limited potential to the north, but to the southeast a little bit more likely. So for any local pilots or club pilots wanting to tag along with the cross-country tasking, that might be the area to look in. But we can see here, actually suggesting not a huge amount of clearance in cloud according to SkySight, quite thick throughout the day, which could have an impact on the surface heating. But climbs potentially up to 3.5 knots later on in the day, with potentially a small amount of upper cloud later on. And they should be soarable up to around 3,500, 4,000 feet. And actually, the surface temperature being predicted to be about 18 degrees or 19 degrees by SkySight, but I suspect with this cloud we're not going to get those sorts of temperatures, and it certainly will feel a bit cooler. Thermal top winds, so we're looking at about 25 knots during the sort of usable window, steadily reducing into the afternoon, and that's very much northwesterly. Pressure is also steadily climbing. We can expect it to be 1020 by around midnight tonight or going into tomorrow. Cloud distribution then from Top Meteo starting from 9 o'clock local. See quite a lot of lower level stuff, some cumulus and sort of underneath all this auto queue. Running that through hour by hour, you can see it's starting to break up a little bit, particularly to the southeast of Lasham. And then a sort of small channel that appears to the north. This is now 1 o'clock local. And then by about 2 local, we start to get opening up that a little bit more, blowing out a little bit to the southeast to that potential task area, but still plenty of cumulus further to the west. It's not exactly where we want it, but it should hopefully be a reasonable day. And then into the evening, for the evening group, you've got a bit of medium thickness cirrus, but nothing, no low cloud to contend with. Certainly not in the mainland. You can see quite a lot of fog and low cloud out over the Irish Sea. NOTAMs, we've got 23 being the Lasham comps NOTAM. Over at 21, as usual, is Bart and Stacey. And at 25, over here, we've got Delta 132, the Ash Ranges. Up at 26, there are flares at Camberley, and 22, that'll be Thursley flares as well, but that won't be until this evening. None of that especially relevant, and nothing to the southeast either. But to the north, we've got 35, which is the Little Rissington ATZ. That's active from 8 o'clock until 7 p.m. local. 36, we've got the West on the Green Danger area has been activated, and at 34, you've got the live firing at Otmer, and that's from surface to 1,500 feet. And we'll finish off now with the airfield briefing. Back to the shared comp and club operation. So starting with the Odium cross section, again showing a little bit of that lower level cloud initially, but that clearing, moving up to some scattered cumulus later from about sort of 11 or 12 o'clock. Looking quite reasonable, cloud base up to 5,000 feet later on, but there is some moderate turbulence expected lower down. Wind-wise, 270, initially going a little bit more around to the north, which is in agreement with the other forecasters, up to around 300 degrees, and that's 15 gusting 26. There's Small likelihood of light showers throughout the day, but nothing particularly significant, and there is a warning for strong winds. Glide bookings, there's a K21 on booked instructional flying. It's K21 on the casual list stand for club members. We've got K13 as well for troll lessons. There's fairly limited single seat availability this morning and afternoon. And at the moment we have 5 on the casual list. So if we get an instructor out to help, that'd be much appreciated. And of course, simulator is available as normal. So 2XL movements, we had a Navajo a PA31 depart at about 7:45. It landed back about 5-10 minutes later. So we're not sure what the issue was there, but that won't be going back out now. Certainly until sort of early evening. And we're expecting a Beach 200 as well that was meant to depart at 8. It hasn't gone as far as I'm aware, and they've missed their slot for getting out of here because the grid is now open. So as far as we're concerned, certainly in the for the day operation, there are no more movements to effect. And in summary, we've got unsettled weather with moderate westerly winds. It should be soarable with Q later on in the day. We're going to be operating runway 27. The club guys will be winching from the pan and aerating from the north side, and that will be dealt with by Graham and the comms team. The comp grid is on runway 27 hard, and please make sure that you are ready when the cable or tug arrives. This is our airfield setup with the winch and launch point vehicle, the winch launch point down by the pan, just next to the GHC with the winch itself parked down towards 2XL, considerably to the south of the centre line. And we will be winching from there without any issues. It's been working very well up till in the last few days. Grid over there on 27 hard, and we will be operating with the variable centre line today, I would imagine. Which is here. So what we will do is imagine that this yellow line here is the new runway centre line. So north side circuits can in fact cross the extended centre line of 27 hard. They must not cross this line that's around 75 meters south of the runway edge. That is quite clearly marked with a line mown in the grass. So if you are doing a north side circuit, you can extend down to that line, but must remain to the north of it. If you're doing a south side circuit, you must not cross this line to the north. You must land to the south of it. You can see there's not a huge amount of space between it and where the launch point is going to be. So just bear that in mind. There's a copy of this up in the launch point vehicle as well for you to remind yourselves before flying. That's all from me for the moment. We'll see you out there very shortly. And let's have a good day and keep it safe. Thank you.